Good morning. This is Mr. Sanchez and Jorge Sanchez or George Sanchez, and this is about me. I This is my introduction. Um, I got a bachelor's in science, Virginia Tech, a master's in science, Georgia Tech, summer research, Stanford University, and currently an instructor in macroeconomics at Johns Hopkins City Rice Summer Sessions. That's gonna be about me. In a nutshell, of course, that's pretty much. And well, today I want to present this topic about international economics, how international economics plays an important role in our society. And this is actually something that we really need to understand very well, because this is actually something that is happening nowadays in our economy. Um, I believe that students need to understand what balance of trade means, what is export, or what is import or imports. I need to just start explaining my students what exports. What are the exports? Export is just goods and services flowing from our country to a overseas countries. That'll be my exports. Whatever we produce here in the States and we send it overseas, we sell it overseas. That is exports. Imports, on the other hand, is whatever we buy from overseas, right? That is imports. So net export is just exports minus imports. That'll be our net export. So just remember again, export is whatever we sell it, goods and services, to other nations. Whereas imports is just whatever we buy, goods and services from other countries. So that'll be our import. So net export is just the difference between these two, points. So we need to understand what is surplus and what is deficit. Surplus, what is surplus? Just to give an example, a surplus is just when we spend less than we receive. In this case, meaning that we sell a lot more than we buy, right? When we sell a lot more, we receive a lot of funds in exchange. So that's surplus. So our exports exceeds our imports. So we are getting a lot more funds than we are paying for what we buy. So in that case, that is surplus. So what is a deficit? Deficit is just the opposite. We are just buying a lot more than we actually selling to other nations. That's in the case of between China and the United States, as you may know. USA is importing a lot of goods and services from China. So therefore, funds are flowing from the USA to China. So that is our imports. Exports, on the other hand, is what we sell it to China. In that case, our exports are a lot less, or just less than our imports. In that case, we say that we have a trade deficit. Okay, so let's say this represent the United States, and this guy represent the United Kingdom, or let's say China. When we sell goods and services, it goes from this side to this side, or from this nation to this nation. In exchange, we receive income. Okay? When we sell stuff from USA to China, that we consider our exports. Okay? We are selling goods and services from the USA to China. But in exchange, we're gonna get money. But remember, if we are selling to the UK, you need to understand that the UK need to exchange that money, I mean the currency, which is the pound, into the USD, or American dollar. So they need to go to the foreign exchange market to exchange pound for a USD. So the United States will receive in exchange a USD, not a pounds, because they don't need pounds, they need American dollars. So that's what's going to happen here at the foreign exchange market. So again, we sell goods and services to the UK. In exchange, the UK goes to the foreign exchange market to exchange pounds for USD, and the USA will receive USD for those goods and services. Easy to understand. So something I want to emphasize is, for example, when the funds are flowing, for example, let's say from China to the United States, that's an inflow into the USA, and that's going to be recorded as credits. On the other case, when funds are flowing out of the USA, that's going to be recorded as debit. Okay, so whenever you see funds flowing out of the United States or into the United States, you gotta be careful with the sign. And again, if funds are flowing into the United States, that's gonna be considered credits. If funds are flowing out of the US, it's gonna be considered a debit. Okie dokie. So this is pretty much the meat of the topic, balance of payment, or BOP. So it has four components. The first component, which is a balance of current account. We have a balance of capital account or financial account. We have official reserve balance. We have this one, a statistical discrepancy, which is just like an error term. Okay, the big, I mean, number one and number two are the most important part of this balance of payment. The balance of current account and the balance of capital account. These two, I mean 3 and 4, are a small, okay, a small part of this BOP. So we're going to focus today on the balance of current account and the balance of capital account, okay. And let's see, exports of goods and services. When we sell goods and services, we send it over to another nation, let's say China. When we sell those goods and services, in exchange, you're going to get money, we're going to get funds, and those funds will flow from China to the United States. So that's why it's positive. You see, the sign is positive because we are receiving those funds, because we are selling stuff, okay? Another example, for example, let's say we have a house in China, or we have a building in China, okay? So every time you generate some profits from those buildings or those assets, you're going to send it back to the United States. That's going to be the case of money flowing from China to the United States. Let's say Michael buys a house in China and he rented a house in China. Every month he will collect the rent, but he's an American. He just bought a house in China. He will collect his monthly payments. So that is income from USA's assets overseas. So that's going to be a credit again. So again, so these three are considered credits. And that's why we have this positive sign. So this is just the opposite, right? When we buy stuff from China, for example, yes, you're going to receive goods and services that you must pay. So funds will flow from the USA to China. So the sign is here negative, so that's easy to understand. So this is in a nutshell, exports of goods and services. This is the total amount, 671 billion of exports, and imports 19 billion. So we have a balance of trade. In this case, it's negative. It is negative, that is to say that we have a deficit. We have a deficit, okay? If we have a deficit in the current account, so you must think about it. If we have a deficit in the current account, then what's going to happen in the capital account? So we will see. So let's recap. What is the balance of payment? Well, again, it's it has, well, mainly four components, but the most important components is the current account and the capital account. So let's go to the capital account now. Well, we already saw this one. This is, well, let's do the current account. What is the current account? And then we'll do the capital account. What is the current account? The current account is just all the goods and services. It's just a tray, uh, trays of goods and services. That is net export. The difference between exports and import, like I said before, that is part of that is a net export. Okay, for example, like I say, toys that we buy from China or cars that are sent to Mexico. Those are trade between nations of goods and services. So we have investment income. Um, like I said, let's say Michael, who's an American citizen, buys a house in, let's say, in China. He rents the house and he receives income every month. Those payments that he gets, that he receives, are income. So that's gonna be part of this current account. And the last part of this current account is net transfers, which is just money flows from the private or public sector. For example, let's say donations. Donation, from USA to a foreign nation, that are considered transfers. That is the current account, easy to understand. The next account is the capital account or financial account. Pretty much the same thing in a way where we're going to trade things, but instead of goods and services, we're going to trade assets or financial assets. That's the big difference. Okay. For example, if an American company buys a hotel in Russia, the hotel in Russia is not moving. It's just in Russia. So that is an asset. That's a capital asset. So that is part of the capital account. Or let's say a Korean company sells a factory in Ohio. That factory is not moving. It's just in one place, in Ohio. But that company belongs to Korea. So that belongs to the capital account. Or let's say an Australian company owns a local mall here in the States. So that is also part of this capital account. So remember, guys, that the main difference between the current account and the capital account is that for the current account, goods and services are flowing, are moving from one nation to another nation. You can say that to find quickly, the difference between these two. Whereas the capital account, the assets are not moving; they are fixed in the place. So that'll be a quick, way to answer the question on the AP. This is from 1980 to 2009. The red one represents the capital account, and the blue one is just the current account. We'll explain this in the next slide. So let's do an exercise. Let's do number one. For example, let's say Bill, an American citizen, invests 20 million in a ski resort in Canada. That is part of the current account or capital account. That's gonna be for you guys. We have another example. A Korean company sells vests to the US military. Again, what is it? Current account, capital account. A US company, Boeing, sells 20 747s to France. So let's go back to the first one. This guy, Bill, in this case, an American citizen, want to invest 20 million in a building, in an asset in Canada. That'll be considered a capital account. Okay. Next one, Korean company sells vests to the US military. This Korean company is just selling goods and services. So those vests are flowing from one nation to another nation, right? So that is a current account. There's one more, and this one too. U.S. company bought and sells 20 747s to France. Also, goods and services. What about this one? A Chinese company buys a shopping mall in San Diego. That is a capital account. And you can see the rest. That's for you, and you can do it. So let's recap a little bit more. So when we talk about a capital account, we buy assets, we buy financial assets, right? So we you need to use a currency. In this case, the inflows of a currency to pay for financial assets, business, and loans to the United States. In that case, that will be considered inflow. Inflow in that case, when we buy assets from another nation, let's say China, I want to buy Chinese assets. You're going to buy those assets, it's going to be an outflow of those currencies. And vice versa, when the Chinese people or Chinese citizens or government wants to buy American assets, right? There's going to be an inflow of funds, of currency from China to the United States. So we have an inflow and we have an outflow, depending on the case. So what is a balance of payment account? Well, all you need to do is just to add up these two, inflow of financial capital minus outflow of financial capital. That'll be the balance of capital account. Simple. In our case, the balance of capital account is 266 billion. You see the sign here. This is a positive sign, meaning that this is a surplus. Remember, last time we have a deficit on the current account, and we have a surplus on this account. So meaning that the current account plus the capital account minus balance must add up to 0. Okay, so one more. We have exercise here. This is from last time. This is the answers. These are the answers from the last exercise. So this is want to show my students. Okay, we have a practice here. USA income increases relative to other countries. Does the balance of payments move toward deficit or surplus? And we have more here. Let me show you. The book that I'm using at this time. What I'm using now is this AP Economics, Krugman's Economics, and this is actually chapter 41. This is the chapter 41. We have a multiple choice here. We have a free response questions. Okay, let's do the multiple choice. This is module 41. Let's do one of the questions. The current account includes which of the following? Number 1, payments for goods and services. Number 2, transfer payments. And the last one, factor income. So let's say you're a student, you want to make a guess. Let's take a guess. Well, let's say that I didn't understand well. As for the first one, the current account includes which of the following? Payments for goods and services, transfer payments, factor. I would say 1, 2, and 3. And we just learned this initially, right? So let's do 1, 2, and 3. Let's do E. I guess that's the one. So let's check. That's it. That's the answer. Let's do one more or two more. The balance of payment on the current account plus the balance of payment on the financial account is equal to, remember guys, in the current account, if we have deficit on the current account, we must have a surplus on the other side, on the financial account. So I would say that the balance of payments on the current account plus the balance of payments on the financial account is equal to, let's check this one. Yes. So actually, these guys, I mean, the current account, the financial account must add up to zero. Okay, zero. All right, let's do one more. The financial account was previously known as capital account. Let's say I made a mistake for some reason. Let's say just click here, trade deficit. Let's see what happened. Yeah, as you might know, it was previously known as capital account. Well, you can continue working. This is the multiple choice part, and we have, let's see what is next here. This is a free response. So you just write the answer here and then you submit, and your answer has been provisionally accepted. And this is the rubric. You got the answer here. Same here, you show the answers, show me the answer, and this is the answer. Okay, so this is the textbook that I've been using, Krugman AP Economics. Okay, so let's go back to home. And then we have the next module, which is module 42, the foreign exchange market. So that's easy to understand. Well, I like this textbook. Then we have a worksheet for this module 41. For example, let's do once again. For this case, the students need to circle whether it's an inflow or an outflow, whether it's a current or financial account. Let's do one. An American college student decides to spend a year studying overseas. So this guy want to go to Australia, right? He wants to go to Australia. He wants to spend money in Australia. He wants to take some classes in Australia, right? So in that case, he has to pay the tuition. Funds are moving from the USA to Australia. First, that is an outflow. You see, I will circle outflow because you're spending money, your funds are moving from the USA to Australia. So that'll be an outflow. So now, it's a financial or it's a current account? Are you buying assets, financial assets? Are you buying capital assets? Are you buying a building? Are you buying stocks? Are you buying bonds? What are you doing? You are buying services, goods and services. In this case, you're buying education. So that is considered a current account. Let's do one more. A German telecommunications firm buys a lot of stuff from an American firm. Oh, they are buying goods and services. When you buy stuff, you must pay. So funds are moving from one nation to another nation. In that case, that's an outflow. Again, you're buying stuff. You're not buying financial assets, right? In that case, that is a current account. Let's do one more. One more. An American bank purchased shares of stocks in Japanese firm trade on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So let's see. Financial account or current account. This is a financial account because you're buying stocks. Okay, you buy stocks. Well, you get a share, you get a stocks. In exchange, you must pay. So money flows from America to Japan. So that is an outflow. So in this case, the students must complete the full worksheet. Okay, so this is what I do in my class. I do the lesson, I do the PowerPoint, and we do the PowerPoint, then we do the check your understanding, which is this is the ebook or the textbook. Okay, and we have all this here. Let's do this one. Chinese investors buy stock in Boeing from Americans. Let's see the answer. The sale of Boeing stock to Chinese investors is a sale for USA assets. Exactly. So that is considered a financial account. This one, when you buy goods and services, that is part of the current account. All right. So So this is it. And if you have any question, I mean, as a student, of course, just pretending that you're a student, you have any question, you can ask me more. But for this demo class, this is just like just a demo. It's not a real class. It's just a demo. And I just want to say that I'm happy to make this demo for you guys. I really hope to join your school. I've been teaching economics for quite some time in the USA and China, and I enjoy teaching a lot. I enjoy teaching economics, um, and this is actually my passion, my career, and I love teaching. And I really hope to join your school, Beijing 35, and don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I will be more than happy to answer, and I look forward to working with you. All right, guys, thank you and have a great day. Thank you so much.